Hello everyone, I'm Rod and Todd, professional YouTuber who makes professional videos, and my space here is on. Give me a minute. Sorry, you get it. Uh, Sorry for not uploading the past couple weeks, but my schools, all the schools where I live have been closed down, so I'm gonna have a lot more free time on my hands. So I figured I might as well start actually making some videos. Before we begin, something of note is that I found the treasure hunt grass chomper at Dillon's yesterday. And I found like 10 of them. I only bought the one, but if you want to find a treasure hunt grass chomper, just go to the Dillons, just go to a Dillons in Wichita, Kansas. So they have an absolute ton of them. Anyway, I gotta go put this up now. There. So anyway, let's talk about Hero Factory. If you were a kid in the mid 2000s, odds are you remember, Bionicle, right? Which was a theme of Lego robots that you could assemble when they were posable and yada yada. And to be honest with you, I never really owned Bionicle as a kid. I think the reason why is because McDonald's every so often would make these McDonald's versions of the Bionicle guys, and I had all of those. So I guess like 8-year-old me never really felt the need to buy the official sets. But then when Hero Factory came out a couple years after Bionicle had ended, yeah, I delved in with both feet as a kid. So today we're going to be reviewing the 1.0, or not the 1.0s, the 2.0s and the 3.0s. And each year of the toy line, they would upgrade all the characters, they could give them new toys with like different looks and armor and weapons and yada yada. And each upgrade would be marked by a different designation. So it would just be, so it would go 2.0, 3.0, and then eventually they just stopped with that. But as kids, of course, we called them 4.0s, 5.0s, 6.0s. And then after that, the line kind of ended. So if I were to find the 1.0s, it would be disappointment. Young me, the first Hero Factory toy I got was Stormer 1.0 from Walmart. Or I got them at Walmart. And I remember seeing the pictures in the Lego magazine, right? And I thought they would have individually articulated figures, or not figures, I mean individually articulated fingers, right? That could hold their weapons. Yeah, I was thoroughly disappointed. It's probably because I didn't own Bionicle as a kid. I just thought that they would have like opening and closing fists that could hold their weapons. Even then, I was disappointed because about like roughly, actually no, not roughly, exactly half of the good guy characters in year one had, instead of having two hands with weapons you could put in their hands, they had this big massive assembly that would peg into a small piece that went on the shoulder with a fake sculpted in fist. So you couldn't remove it. So that was always fun. And of course, the reason I'm not going to be reviewing the 1.0 is because, well, I think at least 2 of them are broken. But I did get all 6 of the good guy characters in year 1, and I got all but 1 of the villain characters. So there's that. So something odd I always noticed about Hero Factory is that they gave all the good guy characters like a first name and a last name, and the first name would always be like some actual human name, and the second name would be like a code name almost. So in the first year you had Preston Stormer, Duncan Bulk, I think it was Julius Stringer. I always want to say Springer, like the Transformer Springer. There was William Furno, Natalie Breeze, and Mark Surge. But you always heard them referred to in their last names. Also, Hero Factory did a cartoon on Nickelodeon. It wasn't really a cartoon per se, more just a series of made-for-TV movies. But there's what Stormer and Furno look like in their original bodies. And basically, like, the plot of the first one was that Stormer is like the gruff old squad leader, and Furno, the red one, is there's like a group of like rookie heroes that are like idiots. and Stormer has to train them and yada yada. And then for every year of the toy line, they would make another made-for-TV movie. So year 2 was Ordeal by Fire, where they had to get new firefighting gear. Year 3 was Savage Planet, where they had to go on, they embarked on a jungle mission and got animal-themed upgrade, which is really cool. Year 4 was Breakout, in which all the characters got specific weapons and gear, because the Hero Factory prison, there was a mass breakout, so they assigned one hero to one villain, and they would all go hunt them down. In fact, the ones on the shelf behind me, those are the breakout guys. And that's the only wave where I have every figure from the entire series. Then year 5 was Brain Attack, where they had to combat these parasitic alien creatures. I only got a few of those. At that point, my interest in the line was dwindling. And then year 6, I think, was Invasion from Below. At that point, I had given up on Hero Factory, but something to note was that they gave them they made the hero figures minifigure sized, and they gave them giant mech suits to pilot. So if you always wanted to have your Hero Factory characters interact with your minifigs, then there you go. Whereas again, I only got one of those on that point, I just gave up. So the 1.0s, they had the same basic articulation as Bionicle figures at the time. They had shoulder articulation, no upper articulation, fist articulation, depending on the figure, a ball jointed head, and then ball jointed thighs, and a bit of foot articulation, I guess. But the main heroes all shared the same basic construction. They would have a helmet that pegged into a separate head, pegged into a basic torso, with a chest plate, and then a little emblem on the front that would be a separate piece. Arms were one piece. Fists, again, depending on the figure. Weapons would peg into the fists. And then you would peg the legs onto a little ball joint there. This red armor piece, again, depending on the character, different color, would peg in, and then there would be a piece that connected to the bottom of the leg, and then the foot would connect to that. And the arms and legs share the same sculpt. Just thought I'd mention that. Anyway, enough about the 1.0s. Let's move on to the 2.0s. I remember as a kid, I would spend a lot of time on the LEGO website. I don't know if any of you did that when you were younger, but one day I was browsing through the little Hero Factory page on the LEGO website, and I saw something called the Inferno 2.0. And I thought, oh, this is really neat. They're making new versions of the characters. And so yeah, that was a really exciting morning for me. I still remember that day vividly. They had cool little animations for the characters and stuff. And yeah, so naturally I wanted them. Me and my little brother bribed our parents to take us to Toys R Us. Remember that? And I snagged Nex and I think I snagged Nex and Surge. My brother got Evo. And then we hunted for the other 3 heroes viciously, and we got in trouble because I threw a tantrum at Target because my parents wouldn't buy me the Breeze figure. But then my parents bought me the other 3 for my birthday, so it was all fine. So as I mentioned, year 2 was called Ordeal by Fire, where they had to gain firefighting equipment. However, the firefighting aspect really isn't really subtle if you just look at the figures. I guess we'll start off with Preston Stormer. He is the team leader after all. And each hero had their own theme color, so Stormer was naturally white. And his gimmick is that he's ice. He's like cold and ice and snow and stuff. He's like I guess an Arctic assault trooper almost. And the 2.0s they did something really neat. Instead of just reusing the construction from Bionicles, they gave them elbow articulation and knee articulation. It also meant they're remarkably a lot more fun to play with, because there are a lot more possibilities. But they still did the same thing with Stormers, that they didn't really give him an actual fist, which always bugged me as a kid. His weapon is this weird little thingy, and he had these 2 little removable spears. And these are basically just reuses of the normal LEGO spear piece. However, something of note is that with the Hero Factor ones, they made them really flexible. In fact, one of the figures another figure that uses spears in this line. I had to replace it with a regular Lego spear because I chewed it up as a kid, or I think my brother did, really. Also, the helmets were a two-piece construction with this generic helmet piece here that would just be the same color as the hero's armor, and then a separate piece here, and that skull to be unique. So I guess Stormer's helmet has a nice little heads-up display target reticle thingy over one eye, this cool little mouth plate, and then this orange light. Also, something really awesome about the Hero Factory figures in year 2 is that they give them these sweet little arm badge thingies. It's not really coming out well on camera, but it has this nice little design, and it has their name there. It says Stormer 2.0 on it. And he has this cord that runs from its back to the weapon. Also, I'm saying also a lot, but in the show, or in the movie, I think, I've never seen Ordeal by Fire, because they aired it on Nickelodeon, I think, for like one day, and then you never saw it again unless you got the DVD, which I didn't. But I think in the show he had some sort of baton thing, which the toy didn't have, and I know that because they released these little animated promos for each character that mentioned that Stormer had a baton, or like a nightstick thing. But so as kids, or at least what I would do is I would just take a little Lego stick and just put it in the spare fist. Well, that makes sense, right? And also, something of note is that Stormer is remarkably taller than the other guys in the line, because they gave him taller, lower leg pieces than the others. Okay, moving on. Can anyone else hear that vacuum in the background? Sorry, just my dad's currently obsessed with home renovation, and my mother's currently obsessed with spring cleaning. So, yeah. Okay, moving on. We have Furno. He's like the brash hotshot of the team. He's also the flame expert, who's like a flamethrower. And his weapon here, he has these little blade thingies, as well as these two little laser effect pieces. So I guess I kind of like to think it's like a more of a flamethrower, but then again, given how the year 2 guys are supposed to be like firefighters, I wouldn't really see that making so much sense. In his helmet, it's really interesting. I always thought he has these like weird night vision goggle thingies, and I thought it made him look like he had big bug eyes. And he has this weird thing on the back. I don't know why that's so large. And then his little badge changes in red. I always thought these were like rank things as a kid. Also, these armor pieces, all attached by a series of ball joints on each limb. So I should mention that. Okay, let's see. Moving on, we have Natalie Breeze, who I always thought looked really strange. So the original, the 1.0 figure had this nice helmet design, and Breeze is supposed to be the only female character, right? So, yeah, she's the female, so she had a nice looking helmet, I'd say. But then I always thought this helmet was a little strange. When I was a kid, I always pretended it had technology in it that made her voice deeper because it felt like it fit. And also, she has a very big looking gauntlet thingy on one arm with spikes. They gave a lot of the characters in the 2.0 line spikes. I'm assuming it's for protection. And I always pretended these things could shoot. It's like they would like shoot spikes. And she has these little blade thingies. I think it's actually really cool looking. And also she has a little badge on her leg. It's gunmetal gray instead of silver. So this looks cool. Also, did I mention the head sculpts of the individual figures are absolutely terrifying? They reuse the same head sculpt for every figure, so it certainly was interesting. Okay, then we have Mark Surge, who is this really interesting looking scope thing over one eye and a microphone. I'm assuming it just comms and stuff. And also, you know that his badge is in white. And he has this gun, which has this peg in the side, and it's designed to be used with 2 hands. However, it's kind of hard to use it with 2 hands and not look awkward. I'd say this is my favorite weapon out of the whole 2.0 line, though, just because it's like actually looks like a gun, so just a weird arm thing. But remember, as a kid, I could never get. That would always happen when I tried to take the gun out of his hand. And if you're like me, which I have a feeling you probably were as a kid, you just use your teeth to get it out. Of course, nowadays I can just do this, but I would always use my teeth on it. So I don't think this is the original peg that came with my Surge figure. Spurly. You can see the individual head sculpt better. It's terrifying. And then in the 2.0 line, they introduced two new figures. And as a kid, I thought that they were the upgraded forms of Stringer and Bulk. Again, I keep telling you, I keep having to tell myself to not say Springer. And but I know better now. They're new characters. So I just recently realized this is that it's supposed to be like an upgrade for the characters, right? They're upgraded because these are robots, right? And so and since in the show or in the movie, I guess, I think these two are promoted as like the first to be built with the upgrade. And so I just realized recently that their names are Nex and Evo, which is like next and evolution. I didn't even realize that until years after I got these toys. So let's start off with my favorite. Here's Nex. He has a green spike. He's got this cool little mouth guard thing, as well as on the helmet he has like a claw and a saw blade, which I don't know what the practical application of those are, but whatever. And then he had these cool little, it's like claw thing, which I guess you could use with like a Jaws of Life thing, laser guns, and then you can rotate it around because it's on a ball joint. And he has saw blades. It's pretty neat. Okay, so then there's Evo. And Evo is like the new heavy weapons specialist. Oh yeah, did I mention each character kind of has their own specialty? Forget to mention that. So yeah, Stormer, as I mentioned, he's a team leader and like an Arctic assault guy. Furno's the flamethrower. Breeze is like I don't really know what Breeze is. She's the token girl. Surge is the electricity expert. Nex is the tech guy. And then Evo is the heavy weapons specialist. This is what really drove home the theory as a kid that these are the rebuilt forms of Stringer and Bulk, because Bulk was also promoted as the heavy weapons guy. And this is his weapon. So this is the one where I mentioned I had to replace the spear. This one's the hard spear. I actually still have the original spear, but the entire front is covered in teeth marks because it's rubbery. And also as a kid, I always pretended that Evo was actually a double agent working for the villains. I don't know why. I don't know what I had against Evo. I really don't understand. But yeah, it's this cool little mouth guard. And I really like the combination of yellow and purple. I think purple was always my favorite color. In fact, as a kid, I always wanted there to be a purple hero, but we never got it. Same how as a kid with the Lego minifigures. If you know what those are, like each series of 16 minifigures, they give a different color to the bag. So each series has its own little representative color. As a kid, I always wanted there to be a purple one. I think to this day there still hasn't been a purple one. So I have no idea what Lego has against the color purple, but there we go. I even made up my own purple hero OC named Hex. I think her name was Hex. She was like a magic. She was female, but she was like a female magic user or something. Okay, moving on to the 3.0s. So 3.0s share the same basic construction as 2.0s. So they had the same knee joints and elbow joints and ball jointed heads. But the thing that set them apart is that they had one-piece helmets again, like the 1.0s, and they had animalistic stylings. If you weren't paying attention already, then I mentioned that Wave 3 was Savage Planet. They had to engage in some jungle warfare, and they had to they had to they each one got their own specific animalistic themed armor and weapon system. Wave 3, or the 3.0s, they ditched Breeze, Nex, and Surge, but they brought back Bulk and Stringer, which was awesome. And Stringer 3.0 and Bulk 3.0 went on several missions with my good guys, with my 2.0s back in the day. Let's start off with Stormer. Stormer gains the power of the Rhino. See, his Rhino helmet has a horn. And on their badges, they made them clear green instead of gunmetal gray, white, or silver. And they give them a picture of their animal. His weapon is this little thing with 2 blue spikes and another blue spike up there. Plus, he uses a spare chest plate piece for his armor. And when I was younger, I always pretended that they gave them like specific animal powers. So Stormer naturally, he would have an unstoppable force, and he could like charge forward or be an unstoppable force because he was the Rhino. I kind of dig it. Inferno gained the power of the Eagle, and of course, naturally, that meant as a kid he could fly. And he has this nice little eagle helmet. And he has the eagle badge with this staff thing. And since there wasn't really a way to make the staves work, the pegs went both ways. So I'm assuming it's because they didn't want there to have to be a specific left and right. So they just peg one in both ends, and there we go. And he has these little eagle wing thingies. So yeah, he could fly. And also, because they gave him 2 fists, I guess if you really wanted, you could take one off and give it to your Inferno 2.0 figure. Same with Stormer, I guess. Take this extra white fist and give it to your Stormer. Okay, we'll do Nex here. Nex gained the power of the Tiger. And I like the saber-tooth tiger. And I always thought you could like slash with the teeth there. He has this shield thing on his arm with these long blades. Dust on here. And there's his little thing. Nex 3.0. Yeah, there. Okay, now we get on to the 3 awesome ones, the really exciting ones. We'll start off with Stringer and Bulk, because it was awesome to see them come back. So Bulk, the heavy weapons guy, he gained the power of the wolf. And I always thought this mask looked really feminine as a kid, and I can't explain why. He uses wolf mask, got little molded in teeth, which is nice, and he's orange. Is these dual arm blade things, which these fall off way too easily because they gave them 2 peg holes instead of 1. So it's just kind of in there by 1 peg hole. So these fall off way too easily, and you lose this way too easily. I'm lucky I have both of mine. He's got his little badge thingy on his leg there. So not coming out well on camera at all, are they? Okay, then there's Stringer, and I haven't mentioned this before, but Stringer was the Sonic Warfare guy. His original toy basically had a giant speaker gun thing. And he's black. I mean, in the show, he wasn't the token black guy. I think that might have been Bulk now that I think about it, but whatever. And he was very, I think he was very southern in the show, but whatever. He had like an exaggerated Texas accent. So he gained the power of the black bear, or really just the bear. This cool helmet here. And he had this claw thing, which I think in the show there was a speaker housed in here that you use for Sonic Warfare, but come on, we all just use this for this since a kid. And I always pretended he could use this to climb walls. And there's his little badge thing. Also, just like Stormer uses a spare chest plate piece as a piece of armor, which looks really reinforced. Okay, and then there was the new character introduced for 3.0. Unfortunately, this will be the last new hero introduced in Hero Factory. Or at least the last one to get a toy, anyway. Here is Rocka. And he gained the power of the lion. Look at that. Got a mane and everything. Soraka is very, very golden. And this one specifically, I had to mail order from ToysRUs.com because I could never find them in stores. Yay. And he had this overly exaggerated weapon thing. These 2 long daggers or whatever these are, and these little miniature claw thingies on the side. And also he has a black hand despite being golden, which I always thought was weird. There's this little thingy. But then something of note is that Raka had an upgrade within the same year. And this would be a tradition that they continued pretty much for the rest of Hero Factory. Raka was the first character honored with an XL upgrade. And the XL is basically just the remake of a character, but bigger! Yeah, this was fun. I got both of these as a kid, because of course. And of course, Raka XL was the only one to where he got a regular figure, or he got a regular figure and a larger one at the same time. For the rest of the Hero Factory toy line, there was just the XL, nothing else. So in the breakout line, Stormer over there, he's the white one, you can see him very prominently, he was the XL. And then Wave 5, or the Brain Attack guys, Furno got the XL upgrade, complete with a big cloth cape. Yep. So let's take a look at this beast. He has 2 identical green rank badges. I call them rank badges because that's what I used to call them as a kid. He's got the same helmet and head and chest, but now he's got this weird elongated neck thing. Got these little articulated back claws, which I lost one of them. Shoulder spikes. His main weapons, 4-pronged massive claw thingy. And he's got this ball shooter. Shot a ball, which is also gold. And when he runs out of ammo, he's got these awesome wrist spike thingies for this awesome wrist spike for close quarters combat. Plus super reinforced legs with really nice tight ball joint articulation. And he has like reinforced feet. And his spikes even on the back of his feet there, on the back of his ankles, so he can stab you from the back or kick you, or whatever. So yeah, Raka XL is loaded with weapons and spikes, and it's awesome. But of course, why would you need to upsize like this if your villain isn't also big? There were 4 villains in Wave 2, I forgot to mention. They were all like arsonists, of course. We had Fire Lord, who was very, very strange looking. He had these big red things sticking out from the sides of his head, look like antlers. There was Nitro Blast, I think he was like a scientist or something. Jetbug, who could fly, and Drill Dozer had a giant drill. I only got Fire Lord and Nitro Blast, and only 2 of them, and so none of them are together, so that sucks. But I do keep the main villain of Savage Planet on my shelf to this day. Because I got this one as a birthday present. Thanks, Mom and Dad. It's Witch Doctor. Yeah, Witch Doctor. He used his powers of mind control over all the animals of the planet. So, yeah. But the only one I ever got was the big scorpion. Thanks, Grandpa, for that one. And let's see. So he has this staff, which is the same exact headpiece as his regular head, and has the same weird elongated neck thing as Raka does. Yeah, he's got this cool looking staff. He has these big white spikes all over him. Black spikes on his feet. He has the similar ball shooter to Raka. Shoots a ball, but it's red this time. And he has these weird white tubes running from his back to his torso. I don't really understand the meaning of that. But yeah, Witch Doctor is huge. So huge, in fact, they gave, just like Von Nebula from Wave 1, they gave him working feet pistons. I always assume these are pistons anyway. See, there we go. Now it'll look a lot more cool. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah. Working pistons in his feet. Plus, he used those little shield weapon thingies as leg armor. And as a kid, I always thought I would just give these to my Breeze and Surge. I never did. But here's the issue. Look at the size difference. Witch Doctor, even if Raka is XL, Witch Doctor is still like a full head taller than the big one, than the big Raka. So, yeah, it's still gonna be an unfair fight, but whatever. Look at that skull face though. Isn't that awesome? And the cool thing is, they didn't give him like a transparent or like an actual head piece underneath. They just gave him a piece of armor to peg the mask onto, so he looks soulless. Oh man, it came off. Stupid elongated neck joint. There we go. Looking mighty menacing. So, that was my review of the Hero Factory 2.0s and 3.0s. I hope you're all having a good spring break. I mean, if you're, whatever, if you're, like, actually in school, like I am. And I hope that your school doesn't get canceled like mine did. Good luck surviving the coronavirus. Just thought I should mention that. Make sure you wash your hands and avoid social contact. And, yeah, have a nice pandemic, folks. Probably shouldn't be saying this on YouTube, but whatever. So yeah, make sure you like the video, subscribe if you're new. Sorry for not uploading the past 2 weeks. I hope this makes up for it. It's still like a 32-minute video. So I'm just going to end it here. This has been Rod and Todd, signing off.